and it is El Clásico. Barcelona embarrassed Athletic, and Real Madrid put on a hell of a survival performance. Atletico Madrid looked like the better side, but couldn't get it done. Real Madrid walk into the final against Barca. We have a Clásico on Sunday. To talk a little bit more about this tournament in Saudi Arabia, we bring in our Spanish football correspondent, Phil Kitchener-Milidis. Phil, you're probably privy to our conversation about Cholo Simeone and Vini and the chirping that was going on. What do you make of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, it was just sort of epic elite Champions League level dark arts from Diego Simeone in terms of winding up Vinicius, just being there on the side, saying things to wind him up and wind him up.
Phil, you've got to give it its full title. This is world-class shithousery.
It is. And, you know, nobody does it better than Diego Simeone. He's been doing it for many, many decades now as a player and now as a manager. And what I liked about it as well, he was asked about it in the press conference. They said, did you really say to Vinicius Jr., Florentino's going to kick you out of the club? And he said, can't remember. That was his response. So he didn't say, no, I didn't say that. He goes, I can't remember. Carrying on the shithousery, which he's so good at. So yeah, epic from Diego Simeone, but it didn't get him anywhere because Atletico Madrid, as you mentioned, Nico, were the better team. They probably deserved to go through, but they didn't. Real Madrid did.
Phil, quick follow-up to that. Do you think that Cholo, because of the way he is, he gets a pass, but sometimes Vini doesn't get a pass? Why is that?
I mean, imagine if it had been Vinicius going to Cholo Simeone. Oh, the president's going to kick you out. You're going to get sacked in the morning. I mean, would be really quite vociferous, the voices against the Vinicius Jr. So, yeah, I think we maybe feel like this is what Diego Simeone does. And Vinicius does have a lot of scrutiny on him constantly. A lot of it he brings on himself, but a lot of it is, you know, kind of part of the game as well and gets analysed a little bit more just because it is Vinicius.
Phil, we've got the final, which we all expected, so there's no great surprise there. But can you put into context for us what is at stake for either of these two? Is this more of a dare not lose for Xabi Alonso than it is for Hansi Flick?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly more pressure and more riding on it for Real Madrid. I mean, the fact that it is against Real Madrid means there is an added level of pressure for Barcelona, because any time they play against Real Madrid, there is just that little extra level of competitivity and rivalry, obviously, but there's no doubt about it. I mean, Xabi Alonso is possibly staring down the barrel of losing his job if he loses this game heavily. If he's on the end of another big defeat to Barcelona, like he was in this fixture last season, then that could be the end. And that obviously means that there is massive pressure on him and not that much pressure on Barcelona. They're the defending champions. They're the champions of Spain. They're top of the table. They are clearly the big favourites. However, just to put a little caveat to that, being such big favourites, and then if you don't beat Real Madrid, that brings its own dangers with it. So I think Hansi Flick will be wary of the fact that everybody's expecting Barcelona to win, and that is not necessarily the mindset you want going into a final or a Clásico.
Phil, let's talk a little bit about Barcelona. A lot of the talk is comparing them to their best form from last season. Rafinha's back. They're looking good. How close to being at their best are they, and how do you give them the edge over Real Madrid in this final?
Yeah, I give them massive edge over Real Madrid in this final, just given, you know, not just what we saw in the semi-finals, Barcelona completely demolishing Athletic Club and Real Madrid really having to work extraordinarily hard to beat Atletico Madrid. But if you just look over the last couple of months, since the Clásico, Barcelona have won every league game that they've played. They've won 9 matches in a row in all competitions. They have ticked on, and there have been 2 key players coming back which has helped them. Joan Garcia in goal and Rafinha up front. Both of those players absolutely key to how Barcelona play. But they're both also key in ways that you might not necessarily imagine. So Joan Garcia is obviously very good at stopping the ball from going into the back of the net. That's what he's there for. But he's also very important in Barcelona's build-up play. He comes out from his penalty area and sweeps up a lot. His distribution is fantastic. His confidence is brilliant. So he helps with the construction of play. And Rafinha, who we've seen score and assist, also leads the press and coordinates the press in a way that is extremely important. And we noticed badly when he was missing, and we notice how much better they are when he's there as well. So those two players back. And by the way, Barcelona have kept 5 consecutive clean sheets. And I was checking to see, when was the last time that happened? 3.5 years ago. It's been 3.5 years since Barcelona kept 5 consecutive clean sheets. And Joan Garcia coming back is a big part of it, but so is also Rafinha. So they're in really, really strong form. It's true that they were made to work very hard by Espanyol in the Catalan derby last weekend in La Liga and just about came through it. But they came through it because they've got a brilliant goalkeeper and they've got masses of firepower going forward as well. So yeah, they are big, big favourites and looking good. And as we say, you know, looking back to their best from last season, but perhaps not quite like last season, because they look more solid. You know, last season we saw them outscore teams, conceding 2, 3, 4 goals, but going and scoring 3, 4, and 5. And like I said, 5 consecutive clean sheets. It's something they've never done under Hansi Flick. They haven't done it for 3.5 years, and that's been really impressive.
Phil, 2 things. One, is there a real danger from what you're saying that they could actually wipe the floor with Real Madrid and end Xabi Alonso? And 2, what do you make and what is the reaction in Spain of where this game is being played?
Mm-hmm. So to answer your first question, yes, there is a definite concern from some levels of Real Madrid fans that this could get ugly. And, you know, I don't want to say this, but I think, you know, for Real Madrid, if they compete on Sunday, put in a good performance, take it to the edge and don't get smashed, it's not a bad result for them, given what we're seeing. I mean, it is a result. It's a terrible result for them. But, you know, if we're being realistic here, given how superior Barcelona have looked to them over the last few weeks, that would possibly save Xabi Alonso's job if they compete, if they go toe-to-toe with Barcelona and don't get embarrassed. If they lose 5-2 again, there's a very strong chance that he will lose his job, despite winning the last 5 matches in all competitions. The performances haven't been good from Real Madrid. There doesn't seem to be a clear idea of how they want to play. There is very little identity, and that is what is worrying the club's hierarchy. So, yeah, I mean, this is a chance for Barcelona to land some kind of knockout blow. Conversely, for Real Madrid, it is a chance. If they win this, like you said, that's what Nico was saying, you know, you can kick on and you can build from this massively, and it's a huge boost, and Mbappe's flying out, and there's a chance. But Barcelona are massive favourites. I think everybody's kind of unused to the fact that this gets played in Saudi Arabia. You know, every January we've got to go there now. We play in Saudi Arabia. Spanish Football Federation gets 40 million euros a year for doing it. Barca and Real Madrid make a lot of money. I think they each make 8 million euros for playing there, much more than all the other teams that go and play with them. So it's just kind of been assumed this is what we have to do now. We make a lot of money. And in terms of a spectacle, it's actually been turned into a competition that is possibly of more interest than the Spanish Super Cup was in its previous incarnation. But there are some people who would be suggesting, you know, why isn't the Spanish Super Cup played in Spain? And the answer is quite simple, 40 million euros.
Okay, I totally get it from the team's perspective and the federation's perspective, because it's a lot of money, and of course, why wouldn't you do this? But from a fan's perspective, I think if the final would have been Athletic against Atletico Madrid, I wonder how many doors they'd be opening in Jeddah to fill that stadium. What do the fans think about this? The people who can't just leave their jobs to jet halfway across the world. Well, no, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's a pretty long journey.
Yeah, it's a 7 or 8 hour flight, and there aren't too many direct flights from Spain to Saudi Arabia. So yeah, it is I think what I heard, Athletic Club, just to give you an example, I think they had 20 or 25 sponsors, people that they invited, and I think I heard that there were only 3 or 4 fans that went from Athletic Club, like actual fans who paid, 3 or 4. It was, you know, very, very difficult for them to go. Like I said, it's basically they're not happy. Essentially, they would much prefer this to be played in Spain. And let's not forget the Spanish Super Cup. It used to be sort of like a pre-season friendly, like the Community Shield in the UK, in England. And it filled stadiums. You know, the Bernabeu was sold out. Camp Nou was sold out for this game. It was a game that people were interested in, but taking it to Saudi Arabia, people have just said, well, this is what we've got to do. And there is in the back of people's minds as well here in Spain, we have to try and compete with the Premier League. We have to try and compete with the Premier League. And if it means taking the game abroad, getting more money in from those kind of sources and trying to grow the game that way, then so be it, sadly.
Phil Kucherbilidis, thank you very much for all of your insight on Spanish football and everything that's exported of it.
Top man.
Pleasure, guys.